All right, welcome back, media fans. Or no, that just doesn't work. Welcome back, people who want to critique and who are skeptical of the so-called media. My name's Dave. This is the Real Media Observer. And interesting, this comes from India. And India has been fairly supportive of what the Kremlin is doing. Psychopathic mindset. Hindu organization slams U.S. senators calling for Putin's death. Hindu Sena, a Hindu nationalist organization, has been steadfast in its support for Russia in India. Well, they wrote nationalist here, which is, that's the end of them. You can't be nationalist anywhere in the world, or you're a supremacist of some kind, right? Anyway, while it had organized a march to support Moscow in the heart of New Delhi last month, it called Volodymyr Zelensky enemy number one of Ukrainians. So that's interesting. The group's chief Gupta has dubbed these American lawmakers people with a psychopathic mindset. I agree. And that extends out to the economy, to immigration, to pretty much every issue right now, where the American people are going, can we stop talking about trans issues for 5 seconds to talk about what's happening here? I mean, everything is a distraction. After the pandemic, Mr. Biden's administration has failed to revive the American economy and has been actively involved in escalating the Ukraine-Russia crisis, making scapegoats of both Ukrainians and Russians, damaging their livelihood irreversibly, and VP Kamala Harris giggling at their misery is disgusting, according to this Chief Gupta character. Amazing. So, yeah, other countries have completely caught on. They see, I mean, you could say this over and over again, and then you don't see it in the media. You'll be like, wow, Kamala Harris, she's not too smart. This goes beyond politics. Some people are going to say, oh, it's just, no, she's dumb. She's not ready for this. I don't even think she wanted it. I don't know why they picked her. She was less popular than Biden, and they picked her. I guess, like I said in one video, the only way you can make him look better is to put him next to her. And that's about the only way you can make him look a little bit better. But anyway, for months, it says here, Putin has been asking for written guarantees from the U.S. and its Western allies that it wouldn't bring Ukraine under NATO, pointing out that NATO's expansion to the east represents a threat to the country's national security, but to no avail. Zelensky is hell-bent on joining NATO, and that's why Moscow began its military operation on February the 24th to demilitarize and denazify the neighboring nation. We hope Mr. Biden's administration comes to their senses and does the right thing, or this would just be the beginning of the end of American supremacy. That's Gupta again from India, from Hindu Sena. However, the group's sharpest remarks for the United States were reserved over the latter's unending insinuations regarding India's decision to purchase oil inside trade pacts with Russia in the face of unprecedented sanctions. See, guess what? India wants to take care of its own people. And that's why they call it nationalist. And nationalist is supposedly bad. But nationalist isn't what people think it is. During the 2016 campaign, we heard about, right-wing nationalists, and you can't have a nationalist. How about somebody who likes the country they live in, maybe has formed a bond with its culture and enjoys celebrating that, right? Is that nationalism? See, I don't know. Maybe it's just a word that's been perverted too much and you can't use it, but there are lots of words that I continue to use in the face of people telling me that they have a new meaning because they say so. Anyway, India doesn't, here's the comeback from this group, Hindu Sena. India doesn't need history lessons from a country which invaded Yugoslavia and Iraq, without even a UN approval and has destroyed at least a dozen countries for not bending their knee to American imperialism. Boom. Mic drop moment. India is a sovereign nation, and we, the Indian citizens, are offended by the confused attitude of Mr. Biden's administration when India has nothing to do with the Ukraine-Russia crisis. In the last few weeks, the US has tried hard to create a rift between Moscow and New Delhi, with the country's deputy national security advisor warning India that there would be consequences if it decided to open a different route to do trade with Russia. Wow. So yes, threatening other countries, cutting off their energy supply, cutting off their food supply, cutting off things that are in their vital national interests, where none of what we're doing, we're playing this role in NATO, none of what we're doing is really important in our own national security interests. It has nothing to do with us. It's just we don't like Russia. That's what this is. We don't like Putin. By the way, Trump said he liked Putin or he could work with Putin. There was a Steele dossier. There was Russian collusion. Then there wasn't Russian collusion. All of this is to isolate and to block out anybody who's not part of the inner circle. Again, Trump conformed to a lot of it, but I think he was very naive to it. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying they considered him a threat because he wasn't part of the club. He may have gotten more clubby as time went on, but I still don't think he's down with the club. And I'd like to see somebody come in completely from the outside and win support in a landslide. Americans would have to wake up and stop watching this ridiculous propaganda that they're getting every day. Leave it to India, right? Leave it to officials in the country of India to tell the truth about Biden and to really just call him out for instigating World War III and for also interfering with a relationship that they had with Russia. And they need Russia probably more than Russia needs India. But what we're seeing here is a great decoupling between the West and a lot of these countries that are kind of, I don't know, their own entities. I would say this is what you want. If you have a country, you want it to be a sovereign country that's not going to be part of this globalist agenda and this global movement to make everybody on the same page and to do the same thing. And supposedly you'll be taken care of, right? It's like the mafia. You'll be taken care of if we do what you want. If you do what we want you to do, we'll take we'll take good care of you. Otherwise, you're out of the club. And out of the club means really out of the club in this place where people will suffer needlessly. And that's what's happening. They mentioned the citizens of both Ukraine and Russia. These are the people who are on the short end of the stick when it comes to sanctions. And this war could have ended quickly if Ukraine had just agreed and NATO had said, you know what, Ukraine, do this and everything's okay. But there's another nefarious, never-ending war agenda that the clock started ticking back on February 24th. And guarantee you, the military contractors and all those cottage industries surrounding the contractors, those people were pretty happy when Putin went into Ukraine because they knew that meant that they were going to be rich beyond their wildest dreams and that they had a new Afghanistan. And this is what they want to do. Because if they didn't want to do it, this would have been over. It could have easily been over. Diplomacy would have worked. Isolating Russia, making fun of Russia, banning Tchaikovsky and so forth, and the tennis players and everything else, the culture, and then debanking everybody. Yeah, that's not a way to do diplomacy. That's a reverse. That's 180 degreeism. That's what makes this so maddening. And again, I'll quote this one more time because it was really spot on. They believe sincerely that American lawmakers have a psychopathic mindset. And I agree with that 100%. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to support me over on Patreon for $1 a month. It's really appreciated, and I will see you soon.